Why are so many people overwhelmed with clutter? Disorganization is causing shame, suffering, friendships, time, money. People just like you wondering where and how to create an organized lifestyle. This podcast offers expert tips and solutions for your clutter obstacles. My name is Rachel Seavey, and this is the Hoardganize Podcast.
Hey, collectors. Welcome to the Hoardganize Podcast. I am your host, professional organizer, Rachel Seavey. And today is just a story about personal life experiences. I know you all have given me a lot of feedback about just enjoying how I'm authentic and how I do share about things about my own personal life. And so I recently went on a trip to Costa Rica. And it inspired me to just do this separate podcast because things were very apparent and obvious after a while. I really started to realize just how happy people were there. And there weren't as many things there. So this is called memories versus things. So you could look at it like the people in Costa Rica are dirt poor or less fortunate. You know, at a glance, their homes are, pretty much run down. They're small, tiny houses, probably the size of my garage, probably the size of some master bedrooms. So these are small dwellings and, just the basics, no extras. And, I was driving through the country and I would see these tiny, tiny homes, and they contain these generations of families, babies all the way to grandparents, all living under these, studios, basically, or garage size homes. And everyone was just so happy and so content. And there wasn't this feeling of being in a rush or, I didn't see one Tesla, but there wasn't this like feeling that you weren't keeping up with the Joneses. There wasn't, immediately it was apparent to me just from being in the Bay Area, during the pandemic for years. And so now it's like going back out and traveling into the world. I'm like, wow. And it really made me reflect on things that are going on in my personal life right now. And just, my life is based on, why people keep things and why people are happy. And that's the kind of work that I do. So I'm always looking around and observing different cultures, different communities, different, anything that has to do with the way people live and the way people feel about life. So anyway, so there's these tiny homes, and it's really humid in Costa Rica. So the front door is just wide open, and you can literally see, clear path, no clutter, no judgment there, but just no clutter all the way through to the back door. And, most of them just consisted of one table. I think that's the dining room table. That's the whatever table. That's the flat surface of the home. And some of them had TVs and, their little satellites. So it wasn't completely third world or anything. It was just very simple. So maybe a TV on the wall, a table, and then a space where, generations of people could sleep. And which was sufficient because they spent their time enjoying the beach, enjoying their families, enjoying their work, enjoying their food, and the weather and culture. Just a very happy group of people. So you would see these happy people with very little in their tiny homes, with their little rundown cars and their little, rundown bicycles, but just happy and content. And it just screamed out. There wasn't any honking, there wasn't any traffic, people weren't having road rage. It's quite different from being, going one place to another here in the Bay Area. So anyway, I just really liked that I was able to observe, just driving slowly by, just how many different people were happy and living with just their necessities. I mean, there are no brand name things. You're not having to keep up with anything. Like I said, I didn't see one Tesla there, and there are probably, a dozen around you everywhere on the freeway here. And there wasn't, Nike Jordans or whatever the fancy sneakerheads like. I work for all sorts of people. And there wasn't this desire to, carry a Louis Vuitton bag or make it there faster or be the thinnest or the prettiest or it was just peaceful. And it was just like, just being surrounded by that was just overwhelmingly peaceful. And I just don't get that enough around here unless I'm traveling or vacationing or camping or being somewhere in the great outdoors. The Bay Area does have beautiful places, but for the most part, it is a concrete jungle where in the area where I live. And so just being able to observe how people could live their day-to-day lives and just be content with what they have and not have to have the fanciest, nicest, newest thing. It's nice. Another thing I observed that also stood out is how they treat their elders. I'm fortunate enough to work with, I'm not even going to say old people. People get offended by that. I love it. I get to work with people of all ages, but I would have to say that I didn't see any like retirement homes or skilled nursing facilities, or I mean, there might be, but for the most part, families take care of their parents and grandparents in the home in a very respectful manner. I mean, the elder is the one that knows everything in the family, and they're treated so well. I mean, you're not just dumping, people into these homes. And I understand that. And I've never been put in that situation, and there's no judgment. But it's just interesting to observe how different cultures treat their elders, just in general. I didn't see any homeless people. And I kind of, knowing the Latin culture, I was born in Mexico. I mean, you don't, even if you have like a derelict, drunk, heroin addict uncle, he could still sleep on your couch, or on the floor, or, you still make room for those people in your lives. And they're not just out on the street. So I didn't see, a lot of homeless. I didn't see a lot of people in need. I saw a lot less waste. I'll have to tell you, in Costa Rica, they are composting everywhere, even your little neighborhood, store. They have recycling, trash, and compost. So they're way ahead of, I mean, California here, we compost. Some people compost. I know if you're listening to this and you're like, why would you compost? That's, I think, what most of the country isn't stressing, but in Costa Rica, there's composting everywhere. And that really stood out. And it was just a common, you saw people just take their food scraps and put it into the compost bin. It was very interesting. And I just wish that we were more thoughtful like that here. I saw a lot of reusing items. There were a lot of old cars, lots of old bikes, but they were all still in good use. People were using things. And there were, I didn't see any kind of brand new, fancy kind of things. People were humble and happy. So I saw a lot of old cars, old bikes. I saw a lot of flip cell phones, a lot of people walking. So I didn't see any obesity. Lots of people riding their bike, lots of people walking, lots of public transportation. So again, better for the environment, better for your health and longevity. And, like I said, I'm in the business of stuff and living happy. So it's really hard for me not to observe this culture that's just filled with love and experiences and appreciation for their nature and the fruit and veggies and just this pride of having just a beautiful place to live. And so it's hard for me not to reflect on my own stuff. And I'm sure as you're listening to this, you're reflecting about your life and your belongings. That's kind of why I do my podcast. It provokes thought. And I started thinking about my own stuff. And as I've been sharing in our downsizing class that I'm doing with Julie Caraccio, I'm actually moving and I'm downsizing by about half. And, I find myself at times being really scared about everything, and then you get caught up with this keeping up with the Joneses. What will people think if I move into an apartment at 42? See, I'm going to just keep it real with you guys. What does this mean? So I've been struggling and looking around my belongings now, knowing that I have to get rid of at least half of them, and saying, and not the Marie Kondo, does this bring me joy, but kind of reflecting on the Costa Rica experience and saying, do I really need this? I was just sharing with a friend and client that I have all this really nice framed artwork that I actually like that's not going to fit in a new space. I'm not going to store it because it's against my own values. So having to take my own advice has been really interesting, and it's been a kind of a fun lesson. But it's really, whenever I start feeling overwhelmed with the stuff that I have to do now, I mean, I have to get rid of stuff, whether it's donate, whether it's sell. As you all know, I've never sold a thing in my life. I'm not even into selling things, but I honestly have like furniture and carpets and nice things to sell. I mean, I'm fine with donating it too, but I'm going to try and sell some stuff. And so that overwhelms me. But it's interesting when you're in your, when you have to take your own advice, like I said. So then I'm just looking around and I'm trying to prioritize my own belongings. And I'm thinking like my true friends shouldn't care if I'm moving into an apartment. No one in my life should even judge me that I'm 42 and moving into an apartment. This is some shit. I hope I don't get censored for that the society here, has placed on me to just feel like absolute hell because I'm, moving into a smaller dwelling and have to get rid of my stuff, big, BFD. So anyway, it's true friends shouldn't care if you've got a Louis Vuitton bag or the newest shoes this season, and you, like, I shouldn't even care. None of this even matters. So honestly, we can't take any of this with us. I've mentioned in early podcasts, and I thought about it just a moment ago, is you've never seen a hearse with a U-Haul behind it. You can't take any of this. None of this is coming with me when I go. So why does it matter? And I invite you to think about your stuff and reflect on your life and take a look and really ask yourself, is all of this stuff really making you happy? Is all of your shopping and acquiring and saving and not using, is it making your life a truly wonderful place? Are we worthy of living with less? Or does that make us less worthy? Take the time and ask yourselves, do these possessions, do these items, do they create the love in my life that I truly desire? Or am I just filling a void? As a culture, we buy houses, we fill them up, we buy cars, we buy excessive amounts of things that we don't need. They end up at the landfill without ever having a purpose. As a culture, we dispose of things that are still good. With all of this consumption, I really invite you to take a moment to look at your personal habits. What is your personal environmental footprint like? It doesn't feel good, but take a moment and think about, what is your bank account like when you're buying all these excessive amounts of things? Are you truly as happy as those families living in Costa Rica? Are you grateful? Are you content? Or do you want more? More love, more happiness, more freedom, more money in your bank account? Or is this stuff, this ball and chain, is it really what's making you happy? Is it what will make you happy in the future? My heart to your ears, listeners. It's really time to focus less on the stuff, less on impressing others, less on trying to meet other people's standards. And it's time to really focus on the present and enjoy what the world has to offer. It's got friendships, there's traveling, there's sunsets, There's the smell of the ocean. And, the fun thing is you could change your life right now. We can both make changes right this second. Every moment, every heartbeat, it's a chance to start over. It's a chance to start new, and it's a chance to learn. You can let go of the old things. There's 24 hours in a day. And what are you spending your days doing? Are you living like you want to live? Are you as happy as you want to be? Are you settling, or do you deserve better? The way you spend your 24 hours determines how you live. And if you keep doing the same thing, then in 5 years, 10 years, nothing's going to change. So take this opportunity today, this moment, right now, and start making those changes towards a life that you truly want to live, a life full of happiness and an abundant life full of joy and love and the time to enjoy all of those things because you're not worried about all the stuff weighing you down. If you are watching this on YouTube, first off, I will out myself. I did buy this shirt in Costa Rica, and I am on a no buying anything this year kind of a thing. So shame on me. It was a frivolous purchase and pennies on the dollar, but nevertheless, I'm wearing it. If you're not watching this, it's bright coral, as my clients would call it. And it says Pura Vida, which is the mantra of Costa Rica. And if you are watching this on YouTube, of course, like, subscribe, leave a lovely comment. I love getting your reactions. It really keeps me going. And if you haven't heard, Julie Caraccio and I are having way too much fun on our Keeping It Real class. You'll see I've got the background here to promote it. Our mission is to deliver real organizing advice to real people like you. It's none of this Hollywood foo-foo stuff. It's keeping it real. It's if you want to be able to enjoy life and also maintain your home. So if that's your goal, definitely sign up for our classes. You can find me on Eventbrite, and I will also have the link in the comments. I've also secured a couple of more interviews for upcoming episodes. Once they're recorded, I will announce the guests, but I'm super excited. They're all in the clutter business. You're going to really enjoy it. They've got their own stories to share. If you are a collector with your story to share on the podcast and you want some free coaching, please email me at hoardganize@gmail.com. Until next time, collectors, and remember, happiness is a place between too little and too much.
Thank you for listening to the Hoardganize Podcast. Please make sure you're subscribed and join our Hoardganize Podcast Facebook page and get additional tips and challenges.